The ice is disappearing, and that changes everything. For thousands of years, the Arctic was untouchable, a frozen desert of ice, darkness, and extreme cold. No armies marched here, no empires fought over it, because they couldn't. But today, that's changing. The ice is melting faster than ever before, and what's being revealed underneath is triggering a global race. A race between the world's most powerful nations. A hidden treasure beneath the ice. Beneath the Arctic lies something incredibly valuable. Oil, natural gas, rare minerals. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the Arctic may hold 13% of the world's undiscovered oil, 30% of its undiscovered natural gas. That's not just wealth, that's power. Control over energy means control over economies, industries, and even geopolitics. And suddenly, the Arctic isn't empty anymore. It's a prize. New trade routes that could change global shipping. But it's not just about resources. The melting ice is opening new shipping routes that were once impossible. The most important one? The Northern Sea Route. This path runs along the Arctic coast, connecting Europe to Asia. Compared to traditional routes like the Suez Canal, it can cut travel distance by up to 40%. That means faster delivery, lower fuel costs, huge economic advantage. In global trade, speed is everything. And whoever controls these routes controls the flow of goods. Russia, the Arctic giant. No country is more invested in the Arctic than Russia. Why? Because Russia owns the longest Arctic coastline. They've been building military bases, icebreakers, airfields. In fact, Russia operates more icebreakers than the rest of the world combined. These ships can crush through thick ice, giving them access where others can't go. Russia sees the Arctic as its future, energy, trade, and military dominance, all in one place. The United States steps in. The United States isn't sitting quietly either. Through Alaska, the U.S. has direct access to the Arctic, and it's becoming increasingly concerned about Russian expansion. The United States Department of Defense has labeled the Arctic as a strategic priority. Why? Because if one nation dominates the Arctic, it could shift the global balance of power. The U.S. is now increasing military presence, surveillance systems, and Arctic training operations. This isn't just about ice anymore, it's about influence. China, the near-Arctic power. China doesn't even border the Arctic, so why is it involved? Because China calls itself a near-Arctic state. It's investing billions into Arctic projects, building partnerships, funding infrastructure, sending research missions. China's goal? To become a major player in Arctic trade and resources. It even plans to develop a polar Silk Road, an extension of its global trade network. The Arctic for China is a shortcut to global dominance. A legal battlefield under the ice. But here's where things get complicated. Who actually owns the Arctic? That's still being debated. Countries are using international law, especially the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, to claim parts of the seabed. Each nation is trying to prove that underwater ridges are extensions of their territory, because if they succeed, they gain rights to the resources beneath. This isn't a war with bullets, it's a war with maps, science, and legal arguments. The Arctic Council, cooperation or competition? There is one group meant to keep peace in the region, the Arctic Council. It includes Arctic nations like Russia, the United States, Canada, Norway. Its purpose is cooperation, not conflict. But tensions are rising, and cooperation is becoming harder, because when resources and power are at stake, peace becomes fragile. Climate change, the real catalyst. None of this would be happening without one thing: climate change. The Arctic is warming nearly 4 times faster than the rest of the planet. Ice that once stood for centuries is now melting in decades. And that creates opportunity, but also danger. Environmental risks no one can ignore. Drilling for oil in the Arctic is extremely risky. One spill could be catastrophic because in freezing waters, cleanup is almost impossible. And the Arctic ecosystem is fragile, home to polar bears, seals, unique marine life. A single mistake could destroy entire habitats. Military tensions are rising. As more countries move in, military presence is increasing. Russia is rebuilding Cold War-era bases. The US and its allies are conducting Arctic exercises. And the risk? Misunderstanding, conflict, escalation. The Arctic could become the next geopolitical hotspot. The future, cooperation or conflict. So what happens next? Will nations work together, or will competition turn into confrontation? The Arctic holds massive potential: energy, trade, strategic power. But it also holds massive risk, because once the race begins, it's hard to stop. The ice is melting, the race is accelerating, and the question is no longer if the Arctic will change the world, but who will control it when it does.